is Judy Warner. Welcome back to this special edition of the Ecosystem Podcast. I am on the show at IMS2024 with my friend Jim Alexander from Samtec, and he is the RF application engineer there. And I just wanted to catch up post my interview with your two colleagues, Steve McGeary and David Braun, and just tell us how the show's going, what the response is to the products and technology that you're bringing here, and just what are engineers and customers saying as they come by your booth and engage with you?
Yeah, no, it's great to be here. Thanks, Judy. It's always a great time to come to IMS and see lots of familiar faces, right? And see what the industry's doing. But customers are are very engaged. It's great to have another in-person event where we're all together to see stuff. We have lots of demos, lots of new products to share with people. So it's been really great. The interest level has been really, really high. The attendance has been great. We're not in a great spot here. We're kind of down the end, but people eventually meander down to where we are to see what we have to offer. So it's been a good show so far.
So in my IMS tailgate party, I talked to your two colleagues, and they were talking about the Magnum RF and the Bullseye products that are all positioned to, keep moving up in frequency and address things that actually customers are informing you that they need. So any specific feedback as you've engaged with people, showing your demos, and kind of what's the response?
Sure. So with the Bullseye products, we have them. They're not, necessarily new. There's a couple iterations and generations of the product. And the latest is our 90 gigahertz, our Bullseye 90. The feedback's been really great for that. We have a demo at the booth showing the operation, kind of how it looks from the RF insertion loss, things like that. Feedback's been really great. One of the things especially great that customers enjoy is kind of the size of it. And really that's kind of been driven by the higher frequency performance that's needed by the interconnects forced us to make it smaller, but they're also, the benefit also for the customer is that it's much smaller on their circuit board. So much smaller footprint, they can get it even closer to the chip, more channels for test. So that's been really good and well received so far. We've gotten a few orders, none today, but even before the show. The Magnum products, we introduced them, kind of kicked them off last year and kind of have iterated even more. We have a right angle version that we're showing. We have a compression mount style that we call a dually, which is kind of maybe not an official name, but it's not just a pickup truck driving around. It's actually a connector compression style. So the other designs are soldered to the board. This is compression, which customers love because it's much easier to process. They don't have the variability from soldering and things like that. So that's the first one of that type that we're doing compression style. We'll probably do some additional channel counts on that as well. And then other stuff we've got that we've been showing is our waveguide, our flexible dielectric waveguide, which is really, really pretty unique. I think other people have like a corrugated waveguide or kind of metal structures that are segmented that can be flexible. But our design is kind of unique in that it uses a dielectric material at its core. So it's a very different, kind of very unique, new approach to a flexible waveguide. And we've been working on it for quite some time since I joined Samtec. But now we're actually releasing product. We have product that's working, it's proven, it's tested for both V-band first and also E-band. And we have other things on the roadmap for that product where we'll be doing higher frequencies for potential 6G applications. Right now it's a good fit for 5G. It's probably a really great type of a product to be used for test and measurement. Those kinds of applications where you're used to using cables and you don't have these big rigid metal pipes that you have to finagle with, you can use this as a flexible cable in essence. So it's going to be good. It's been very well received. Customers, I think one of them said that we're going to be probably buying a lot of those products from you guys when they're finally done. So
that's great.
That's another one.
When do you expect to have those ready?
So the V-band product now is actually pretty well released. We're finishing up our final testing and we'll have all that stuff on our website. And then the E-band is probably in another quarter. We'll have it's kind of right behind where we are with the V-band. We're finishing that one up, and that'll be available later in 2023.
Okay. Here, as I've been interviewing other people, and you sort of touched on it in what you just discussed, is it seems like to me everybody here is talking about millimeter wave. And as we go up into that frequency, sort of the unintended consequences and the design challenges and all of that. So what's your perspective on it, in regards to sort of an expert in the RF connector space. What are you seeing there?
Sure. The challenges, I mean, really, I've been in this industry for quite some time. I have my gray beard status, right? So
I have my hair color, Jim. It's okay.
It works. It works as long as it keeps growing. At the end of the day, I remember when I first started out in this business, and there were lots of papers from academia where people were talking about millimeter wave applications, really high frequencies, upwards of 90, 100, greater than 100 gigahertz. And the reality of that is now it's not just academia doing research and things like that. These are actual products now that companies are manufacturing, whether it's test equipment or cables and connectors, waveguide like we have. They're actual use cases and applications now for those higher frequencies. This millimeter wave stuff is really it's not science fiction anymore. It's actually like we're using it, right? There are applications for it. There's frequency bands that are being used for 5G, being proposed for 6G that are coming next. So that's really, really cool to have seen that stuff happen maybe in a pretty short time. The speed, I think the other thing to talk about, not just in digital communications and data rates and things like that, but the speed that the market has developed and the speed that people are like taking these ideas to fruition, to development and to productize them is really pretty amazing too. And I think that's really one of the results is because there's so much simulation, so much more horsepower now for simulation, all the things that MathWorks and ANSYS, companies like that we work with a lot, that bring to the table, which is really great.
Yeah, I agree. It is breathtaking, especially I think coming out of COVID and maybe not seeing these things physically and having sort of the industry-wide interaction. It's been a little shocking to me in a good way, right? At the speed at which everybody's sort of making this a reality.
It might have been as a result of that too, where we all were kind of like reading about things on the internet and maybe having Zoom meetings, but now you're actually seeing it in person, holding it in your hands. It makes a bigger impact, right?
It really does. It really does. Well, thank you so much for coming by, Jim. Where, for our listeners and viewers, where should I send them to tap into? What I love about Samtec, being an engineering-focused podcast, is how much education you guys and how many resources, in addition to, of course, great products. So where would you suggest people go specifically around the topics we've been talking about?
Sure. Yeah, I mean, in addition to the RF and microwave stuff, which I'm certainly familiar with, my team supports, we've got a plethora of information on our website about digital interconnects, high speed, some of our optical interconnects as well. But samtec.com/resources /IMS2023, I think, was the show website here. So you'll see some links there to the demos, some of the things we're talking about here.
Great.
And then obviously you can just email us at the rfgroup@samtec.com. We like you said, we collaborate, we share a lot of the information, all the testing that we do. We sponsor a ton of white papers and collaborate with other people to help kind of do the test cases and show people how the things work and demonstrate how they work. So it's a really great company that's really helping our customers solve their problems. So and
across the industry. You're part of the ecosystem, buddy. That's why we appreciate you so much, is because you really are collaborating cross-functionally across the industry. So, well, again, thank you so much for coming by. For our listeners, I always want to mention, besides there are resources that I will put in the show notes, I am also putting the newly released Signal Integrity Handbook on the Ecosystem website for a free download. It's been updated. It's a classic, and I know it'll be really good for you. Yeah. So, Jim, wish you last day of the show. Yeah. We're almost there.
Right.
Into the marathon. So wish Samtec all the luck, and thank you so much for everything you guys do.
Thanks very much. Thanks for having me.
Glad to.
Yep.
For our listeners, thanks so much for joining. We'll see you next time. Until then, remember to always stay connected to the ecosystem.